Welcome to Impact Farming, where we introduce you to the people and ideas that will have a massive impact on your farming operation. Brought to you by Farm Marketer. Sit down, start the engine, and let's roll with today's show.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Impact Farming Show. I am really excited to be bringing you part 3 of our mini-series on transition planning with George Sinker and Joe Hentz. And as I said on the last one, if you guys are just joining us on this episode and you haven't watched or listened to part 1 and part 2, please stop and go back, because we're at the end of the process here and none of this is going to make sense. We, in the first part, spoke about how do you start on transition planning, and we really went from the beginning. Where do you find an advisor? How do you hire one? We walked through the discovery process, and then part 2 we moved into the advisor team coming back to us with the plan. And what are different parts of that? So a lot of really good information in there, guys. So I do encourage you, go back, listen to those ones, and then catch this third part to the series. So we are here, we've covered all that, and I wanted you to remind us of the fact that all of this doesn't happen in one day. You guys don't show up and go, here you go, let's get it done, right? I mean, that would be amazing. And if it happens that way, great. But you said it does take time, right?
And the implementation, you know, you have to be very sensitive with the implementation in terms of the people that you're dealing with, because we want to make sure, and hopefully by this time we've worked with the family long enough and we understand their feelings that we've got buy-in for the implementation, because you can have the greatest plan in the world, but if there isn't buy-in, it's never going to get implemented. And so I think with your family, Tracy, after all this work we've done for them, I think we have buy-in to the plan. But we would want you and your family to sit with this plan and talk about it, discuss it, advise us as to any additions or alterations you want to the plan.
Okay.
And then implement it. We want to see it get implemented, but it's going to be implemented under that action plan with your priorities.
Okay.
Because we realize that people have a business to run. They're not just able to devote all of their time to working on the business, because they're working in the business. So the implementation can take some time to be completed. And you know, as we were discussing, life happens along the way, and maybe we need to alter that plan, Joe. Can you speak to that?
Yes, we talked about the roadmap, and we talked about some of the key risks or detours that you don't want to take and how to maybe mitigate against those. But sometimes something happens that there is just no detour for that, and you have to revisit the plan.
Okay.
You know, before the management expertise was passed down to the next generation, the key manager of the farm passes away unexpectedly. Hopefully we have the estate plan done, so worst case scenario, we've at least have a plan to deal with ownership transfer.
Okay.
But the person who's left running the farm maybe doesn't have all the expertise needed, and the farm's left in a
Because
difficult
who is
spot.
ready for that? That's never part of the plan, right? Yeah. Okay.
So there's options that are available. I mean, they'd have to look at that, hiring in maybe expertise.
Okay.
Maybe the person who's coming up, or the person who passed unexpectedly always did the books for the company.
Okay.
Well, you can hire advisors to take care of the bookwork for you.
Yes.
And you could focus on running the operations.
Okay.
Maybe someone was running their separate parts of the farm, a grain operation and a livestock operation. Perhaps you need to change the strategic plan of the farm. Where it was diversified with livestock and a grain operation, maybe you're selling one part of that and focusing in on only one part of that operation going forward, where your expertise lies.
Okay.
So those are some of the changes that might happen along the way in the middle of implementation. There's strategic business plans that need to change, but you need to be able to adapt as well. Okay. And I'm sure it's not the first time if the farm's been around for a number of generations where it's had to adapt.
True. So I want to go to life happens, right? The good and the bad, especially for wills. Things like that. What occasions in life should we be going, oh, that's a trigger? We know death is going to trigger a lot, but what else happening in life might trigger us to revisit a will in particular, or different parts of the plan?
Marriage or divorce. A new marriage will invalidate a will.
Okay.
And a divorce may call it into question as well, whether it remains a valid will. So even if you have it, you thought the will continues to be in effect, the courts may find it to be invalid and non-enforceable.
Really?
So that's anything with a marital change, certainly would need to take into account. If your beneficiaries that you've named predecease you, or your estate trustees that you've named predecease you, those are certain things you'd want to revisit to make sure that there's somebody who's able and willing to act to administer your estate. Those are some of the key reasons why you'd want to revisit that.
That makes sense.
And it's a good practice to pull out that will, even if none of those events have happened.
Okay.
Pull it out every 5 years and dust it off and read it and make sure you understand what it says, because we have clients coming in all the time who will say, well, my will says such and such, and we read the will and say, well, no, it doesn't. She's not your executor, she's your attorney under a power of attorney.
Wow.
And so sometimes events happen with the people that you have named, maybe become estranged from those people if they were executors or guardians for your children. So
True.
those are events that can cause a change to be made in the will.
Okay.
And the transition plans, when you, in my world as an advisor, we're always in transition. We, as Joe said, when we have the next generation who is coming to lead the family, do they still have the same 5-10 years down the road? Do they still stand for the same values? Do they still have the same vision? Do we need to sit down and revisit that family charter to see if it needs to be updated? And the family charter or continuity plan, we can have an actual document that's a continuity plan. You can talk to the statement of the family commitment. We're committed to this family farm. This is how we want us and our children to earn their living. These are our business values. These are our family values. We want to encourage family members to be welcome in the business. However, they need to have an education. They need to have outside work before they come back. We've established for governance of our family, we've established a family council. We'll hold family meetings. That family council will look after family fun. It will look after family education. It will look after family enterprise, learning more about the business,
Okay.
things of that nature. And we will pick who are the appropriate family members to serve on that family council. They may not all be members of the business, but we need to find, I think an important thing is to find a role for everyone. If we look at the whole family enterprise, maybe we even have the non-farming children, but why have, not in a lot of cases, but in some cases we will have a family foundation or at least family philanthropy. And we will have someone who's not in the business who is of that nature and is able to lead from that perspective.
That'd be a perfect role. Yeah.
So everybody needs a role, and if we can find a role for all the family members, that solidifies the family and creates more trust and communication. So I think it's the individuals and the families are always in transition, just due to the book I was talking about, generations. And so we just need to be mindful of updating our plan to reflect the circumstances.
That's excellent. I think that is a great way to wrap it up. And I love that we were able to go through all of those three parts. I don't want to throw you, put the spotlight on you, but Do you have any final words of wisdom to farmers that are sitting out there? It could be as easy as just get going, which is probably the key words.
I thought about this for a long time, and my words of wisdom are start early.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to do it over here than going, wait a minute.
As Joe said, if you wait for a critical event, like getting your tooth pulled, you're going to have lizard brain, you're not going to be thinking clearly.
Smart.
You're going to come up with a plan that nobody's going to want to live with.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're upset. If it's a death, you're going to be upset. You are not yourself.
Exactly.
Any kind of plan is going to be made in a haze, right? You're just not in a place to make a plan.
that's right. And it's going to be made by an expert, and it's going to be tax-based more than people-based, in my view.
Good point. Right. If you're in those kind of situations, the picture's going to be skewed. Good. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. That was a lot of information, and you know what? That was a lot of value to our audience. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm really, when we got into those meat and potatoes of the subject, and I know our audience as much as I am really going to appreciate this, because you know what? We are inundated as farmers with all the lingo and the fact that we're supposed to do this. And for me, I go, that's great. How do I do this? And with Farm Marketer and Impact Farming, we have the experts and we have the channel to put that out there. And I really want to start helping our farming audience to take actions, right? And now we know where to start, what that looks like, and what the outcome is. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
My pleasure. And thank you guys for joining us on the Impact Farming Show. See you next week.
You've been listening to Impact Farming. For more great episodes and articles designed to help you manage and grow your farming operation, head on over to farmmarketer.com. Don't forget to sign up while you're there. We will see you on the next episode.